So hello guys, what's up, this is Scher talking, welcome back to my channel. And today video we'll be doing a review on Romancing Festival Vampire Lady banner. We have Ellen and Vampire Lady in bikinis, and yeah, this is another summer banner. The second part, we also have Volcano, yeah, a male guy. And Primiera. Volcano is an A style, Primiera is an S style, they are only for inheritance, although Volcano is more interesting. We also have Ellen and Vampire Lady here, and I really don't know why people will summon for them. Okay, so, without jokes, Ellen is the star of this banner. I really don't know why they are calling Vampire Lady Festival, but it's probably because Ellen already received a banner with her name on it. Let's go here and check Ellen on Romancing. So we have 4 different SS styles of Ellen so far, and 3 different SS styles of Ellen in Japan. One of them is still unreleased on global, we will talk about this later. The first style was Platinum, this one was called Award style, this one is Abyss style, and this one is the Summer style. This one has 2 arrows for SDR, so it's easier to get SDR, and we have 1 for Charm, we really don't need that. And you can use Abyss Ellen for Endurance and Agility just fine, if you have her. Let's talk about something here. This Ellen already returned at least once, this one as well, so 2 chances to get those 2. They increase the utility of the summer one. And we have 3 different S styles, this one barely helps, this one is Platinum, and this is the future one that will give her a full AoE attack with Sheep Coast. Yes. So now let's give a look on all the multipliers. I'll be giving a look again on the status because she was buffed in global, but let's say that she got a better endurance. That changes here. She never had high endurance save for the award style. She's all about speed and STR. So this time we'll go to Reddit, and thanks Hans for A3 for posting this. This is the transcript of the video from Taiwan. They released a video explaining the characters, and we could see the difference between the Japanese version and the global one. So this Ellen got a buff for her flat bonus with STR. It's now 12 instead of just 5. That's a good buff. They decreased her charisma. That was extremely high, I don't know why. Sometimes it's just too high because, yeah, they are summer versions. And very high agility already with 16 flat bonus, a buff to endurance like I said, and a buff to dexterity. I think they are increasing her dexterity since some romancing fights are pretty hard right now. Some characters are missing, yes they are, against Genryu. So what makes Ellen? High STR, pretty good, high agility, good as well, and extremely high charisma that you won't be using. But what makes Ellen is her passives and skills. All of her skills were buffed in global. The global buff is noticeable and makes her like one of the best damage dealers right now, but with some, well, things that we need to discuss. First skill is a supportive and fast one that it's 0, so free to use anytime you want. You don't need to use BP. It's extremely good when we have skills like that. Some characters do have this, and she gives a morale buff that gives 35 increasing damage to a single target. In Japan it was only self, right now it's both fast and you can give it to anyone in your setup. This is better used in different targets than in herself. Why? Because it has fast, and also because she's the one using it. If she's using it in herself, it will only work for a single turn, and unless you really need her to give a higher damage output, you would prefer to use this in another character like Rofus. They can be used together, and Rofus you get 2 turns increasing damage. The problem with Rofus is that you either have to use some character to remove his paralyze so that he can attack again, or you can use this in other characters as well, like Mirza. They can work together in Dragon Strike, for example. You can save VP with this character like 17 VP if you want, and you can use twice your best nuke, giving this increasing damage to 2 attacks. That is very valuable, especially because she don't use BP and does not affect her cycle. Her cycle is to use her 3rd skill every 3 turns or 4, depends on the character that you are using. We'll discuss skill number 3 later. But this was a very nice buff. But something that we need to discuss here is that how does it really affect your characters? Let's say Abyss Ellen. Albie's Ellen has a 45% increase in damage because of her passives. When we add weapon stones, we get to 60% increase in damage just by herself. And now we get 35% more. This means around 22% increase in final output because she already has ways to increase her damage. For cards that don't have many buffs to themselves, it's better because it increases a larger amount of damage. But still pretty good even for cards that have many buffs. Okay, so after this we have a skill that's just damage, but now has an increased effect, a self-defense up that lasts for 4 turns. This defense up is not an increase to endurance, it's just like a defense enhancement. It should be only 5%, but we don't know. Jorg was buffed and he had a medium effect that was supposed to be 10 and it was 20, so it shall be between 5 to 10%. It lasts 4 turns. Cards that have this like Final Empress, she gets more, but it's only 2 turns. So the damage output is already good with the skill. It's a 31 modifier, 6 BP attack, but it's only blunt. This is good because that's always what we want with the 6 BP attack. Either A output or similar. Higher, probably. 6 is pretty good, but it's only blunt. Depending on the content, you may not want to use it. In my opinion, this skill is not the best one. You should ignore this in most fights. Why? Because of what she can do with her third skill. The third skill is now a 10 BP when you fully awaken. Slash plus blunt attack that will attack random enemies between 2 to 3 times. In Japan it was only 2 times, and it was not that strong because we had double crush to this point. Double crush is a double attack with A power. This one is a B power, a little lower, and at least this one has 2 elements, so she attacks both slash and weak to blunt enemies. I do believe it's good to have cards that have double elements because you are investing on 2 types of damage. They will be used in more content, so it's a better investment. But then, dealing lower damage than an attack that's getting even older right now, Double Crush is not exactly the best cycle since it's 10 BP. We can only use it again on turn 4. That's why they increase it to up to 3 hits. Right now, if she hits 3 times, she will do close damage to Grey, close but higher than Urpina. She still does not beat Rofus. Guys, Rofus deals insane damage, but she does make a lot of difference when she hits 3 times. Like I said, that allows her to be on the top. She may do similar damage to Grey when Grey attacks 5 times. And Grey is, well, way more RNG than her. You have 50% chances of 2 times, 50% chances of 3 times, but the real deal is when she hits 3 times. That allows her to reach closer to Rofus, but only the slash part. She beats Rupina, and she beats all Double Crush users. She gets closer to max potential Grey, where Grey can hit between 3 to 5 times, or when you have Ferdinand attacking 4 times. That allows her to be on the closer to the top of the slash category. Rofus still does more damage because Rofus don't need RNG, he will always do consistent damage, but she comes close on her max potential. But that's even better when we consider her passives. The first one, it increases her STR when she hits an enemy. The buff is 20% to her own STR. And that happens every time she attacks, even with normal attacks. It will not happen when you are using skill number 1. Skill number 1 is supportive, so it will not give this STR buff. And that's why sometimes you will prefer to stick to keep attacking, to keep getting buffs. Remember, buffs last for 4 turns and they decrease their potential by 25% every new turn. Meaning that if you are not attacking, you are not buffing yourself again and not recovering the losses of your buff. But I still believe it's good to use the skill number 1, like I said, right before you are about to use 2 nukes with some of your best attackers. Let's say you have Mirza in your setup and you wait till Mirza has 17 BP. You use this and 2 Mirza nuke attacks, one after another. Using it in herself doesn't have much value. she needs to be paired up with at least one damage dealer so that they work well together. Now she has a second passive called Weak Point Focus Treat that is 15% increase in damage when hitting a weak target. She will be hitting weak targets all the time since she attacks with Slash and Blunt. And fired up 5 for 20% increase in damage. So she has 35% increase in damage when hitting a weak target. Abyss Ellen has 45% increase in damage, but she relies on having full HP for one of her passives. That means that in boss fights it will hardly ever happen. So also this one keeps buffing herself by herself without a needing of attacking with specific attack, just normal attacks buff herself. You can also inherit one attack from another past version of Ellen that buffs herself when she attacks with that skill, getting 2 buffs to SDR. But I don't think it's good because you still want to keep using skill number 3. Yeah, in my opinion, it's better to buff yourself with normal attacks than using skill number 3, but it's an option. You have to test out to see which one gives more following. So 35% increase in damage, good status, not so high Genders even after buff it, but okay. And good to be used with Matriarch squads, closer to the top of the Slash and Blunt category. And so for some interesting options, we have skill number 1 from her award style, that is a column attack, that can be helpful right now. You can also use the first skill from her Abyss style that gives a buff to STR with 5 VP coast. And in the future we'll get an option from this limited SS style that gives her a sheep AoE attack that costs only 3 VP. Yeah, when you fully awaken and it attacks everyone. This is the only one that has a sheep AoE attack. We don't have this one right now, it will be released in the future. And the last interesting option for inheritance is Loki Cut, if you want Slash instead of Blunt. That is if you want to cycle her second skill. So returning to Reddit, I want to say that this is the best version of Ellen so far. It's strong for long fights. It does have one of the best attacks right now. Yeah, with double element. The problem with this banner is just that the value is low, since we still need to talk about Vampire Lady. Okay, so for Vampire Lady, let's discuss this. We have some buffs in global. For her only status buffs, they increased her endurance by 6% and 12% in her dex rate. It was pretty low, yes it was, and increased even more her charm. Well, because we already know the buffs, let's go to now SaGa. So now we have Vampire Lady and there are 4 different SS styles and 1 age style. Let's discuss the ones that are easy to get. This one is an A Platinum style, everyone can get. This one is a SS Platinum style, everyone can get as well. Then we had Halloween version. This one was limited. She got a rerun already, so there was 2 times to get her. And this is the summer style. In Japan, they already have this one. So we'll be discussing this. And she is not bad. We don't have bad styles anymore, hardly. But she faces competition against many Slash attackers. As you can see, she has 1 STR, 1 arrow for STR, 2 for agility. Her future style has 2 arrows and even higher cap than the award one, the Halloween one. And for multipliers, we see that she got some buffs, but she's more about agility and STR and charm. Charm because we can charm with her. And also the healings are better. Remember that Halloween Vampire Lady was buffed for global and she was the first character to have turn 1 damage negation. She was an off tank used in many situations. I used her for a while. So this Vampire Lady is a combination of both slash and shadow damage. The first attack is single target. C damage, 17 modifier. It's not bad. It's similar to Smash, but it has double elements, slash and shadow, and it has a lower cost, only 3 BP, so she can use this every time. And this character was most designed for boss fights, and I must say specific boss fights. When using her for farming, the damage is not bad, it's just that her cyclings are not the best ones. Marine Bat, this attack here, is both slash and Shadow. It's good if you are using normal characters for farming. What I mean normal characters, I mean not fast attackers. She is used in the slash position, STR position, where you can bring Barthélemy or Rouge in the intelligence position. And if you are using Sigmoid, you can bring more combinations of STR and intelligence damage dealers. It is good enough, but you cannot use this twice in a row. Only turn 1 and turn 2, or turn 1 and turn 3, or 2 and 3. You see, you have to skip one turn and kill your enemies with your other attackers. Like, say Barthélemy kills the first wave. She can help deal damage in the second and third wave. But the damage is pretty low. You need to bring someone else. It's not like you say Madeline, where Madeline can attack 3 times in a row with AoE. She cannot. She can fix this with her future style, but right now, no. Then we have this third skill, Shadow Bliss. It's 10 BP for SS damage. Well, it's okay for the coast. But we already have characters that have more than that. Rofas, Mirza, we have also Urpina that has lower coast, and she competes with them. We at least have this large chance to inflict charm. It's the highest chance ever. Yes, there's no character that can charm better than this girl. And she already has high charm, and large means that if the enemy has even 300 resistance, and if we can buff our status, we may even, well, manage to land charm if we try enough, and if we decrease the resistance of the enemy. It's kind of overkill for most situations, but I can see some people trying to inflict charm just because of this attack. But it's not spammable, so you have to save BP and try to use that again. Okay, but this time it's only shadow damage. It comes from STR, the damage, and you still need to use her in STR positions, but it's only shadow damage. Interesting, I don't know why they removed the slash part. It's probably because it has an animation related to spell, but it's not. You only need STR to increase the damage and charm to increase the charm rate. And now for passive, she has the same passive that Leonid from Katarina's banner has. It's a heal chance of 25% to heal Vampire Lady and a random character in your setup. The heal is not that high, but because she has very hard charm, at least her healing will be very powerful. Let's give a look here. Yeah, she can get around 600 in Japan, so you should be healing for 500 and something, and your friend for something around that as well. So that's good, but remember the chances is 25%, at least he does not use BP, and in boss fights it may save you here and there. But why would you use her in boss fights? I still don't know. She doesn't have a healing attack, but we do have a healing attack by inheritance. We'll discuss this later. And the second passive increases shadow damage by 10%. And the last one, fired up 5, 20%. So 10% for shadow damage and 20 for all types. So 30% on shadow, 20% on slash. Not so much, not that high for farming. She doesn't have anything else besides average damage and heal effect that can help out reducing the heal need. Well, your healer will need to heal less if you are healing with her. Remember, you still rely a lot of RNG, 25% is not reliable. Oh, and something that I forgot to say, she gives increased damage against humans. If your boss is a human, using this attack will mean the final output is the same as a triple S attack, and that gives a little more value to the skill. Yeah, only when using against humans. Now let's discuss her inheritance options, and we do have some interesting options. If you have her Halloween style, Energy Inhalation is now a 3 BP on global, so the damage is pretty bad, but at least you keep recovering HP. She is not to be used like a, well, tank, but if you are using her in evasion strategies, she can evade and keep healing herself. The boss will take a lot of time to die, so I don't know if this has real usage. Yes, sadly. And because she has a future style in Japan, it's worth discussing because they complement each other. Well, it's still about STR, agility, and charm. The other status are kinda low. We don't know if they will buff this for global. And the first skill is a sheep AoE attack. Remember that the summer version has a 6 BP attack. This one is 4. So you have 6 plus 6 plus 4, meaning that you have now a full AoE cycle. Yeah, you need both to get that. It also buffs Endurance. The second skill is something that buffs Charm, so that she gets even more Charm to try to break through some enemies with large resistances. And it's also a good attack to be used in 3-turn cycles, since 5 VP you can use it 3 times in a row. And as you can see, it gets in the way of the first skill for auto, so that's why you need a summer version. And we have the last skill here being this Plume Charming. That is not a full AoE attack, it's an enemy vertical line only, 10 DP, at least it's fast, has lower usage compared to full AoE attacks, and also buffs Love of Everyone and Charm. Yes, I think it's Love and Charm, yes. Very situational, extremely situational, especially because it's a vertical line. And she also has the same Vampire Link passive, so she heals herself and someone else in the squad. The second passive is a 25% chance of inflicting Charm. If she has high Charm, it will always stop on 25, it doesn't get more than that. Situational, well, at least she has AoE and it has a better usage now. We did use Halloween Vampire Lady for a lot in Full Dojo, and we were using Mirage Blade, a way costlier skill. This time we have a chance to use a cheaper attack, but only on manual because, well, the second skill gets in the way. Or you can just inherit from Summer Vampire Lady and have a cheaper AoE to use it on the front, and just keep trying to inflict Charm by passive with 25% chances. This makes her better for Charm than Halloween Vampire Lady, but Halloween Vampire Lady trump was that she negates damage on turn 1. She's pretty old and lackluster right now because we have Madeline, but if we didn't have Madeline, she would still be useful in Hidden Dojo for those that don't have her. And the last pass is Fired Up 5 with 20% increasing damage at all times. So what do we have here? Guys, 20% increase in damage only. Not much for farming, especially because her attacks are not that strong. So I do believe that Vampire Lady is a situational character. When you need Charm, you have the best type of Charm coming from her. When you want some slash plus shadow damage, you have it as well with Summer Style. But all of the versions of her are not about full damage. This one gives a little more damage even. If she's used for boss fights, she can help reduce the heal from your other healers. But guys, we have Nirs. What's the reason to use this character in boss fights? I think only if you really need AoE or you really need Charm. So just to finish, for inheritance we can bring Energy Inhalation from her Halloween style. This one gives her a self-heal. It's only 3 BP in global. That is good for, well, self-sustain, but she's not exactly a tank. Her endurance and we are pretty bad. But Final Impress is better to use it like that, and she also has a similar thing with higher damage. And besides that, she does not give very high chances to insta-kill with Iron Injection Rainbow, because this attack here has small chance, and she doesn't have high intelligence. So I do suspect that Blood Spartan Plus in the future will be better. As you can see, it will give even higher damage than Shadow Blaze. Shadow Blaze is 10 BP and 54, and Blood Spartan Plus, when we get to upgrade this, is 10 BP, and it also reduces endurance from the target. It's a better attack, but it will cost you some enhancement materials. In the very far future, we also have a way to upgrade this last attack here, Tornado Blade in global, with double S damage, 48 multiplier, and critical damage against flying enemies. That's right now in Japan, so probably 8 months away unless they just change the order and release some future styles before the time. This is an insanely powerful attack. Yeah, but you can use with any other version of her, or also with other styles that are more focused on damage. Even Madeline can use this, and she is better than Vampire Lady most of the time. So, in my opinion, she has a way lower value compared to Ellen, and if you get Ellen first, stop. Totally stop. Vampire Lady needs 2 styles to perform full AoE cycles, and not only that, none of her options are necessary in the long run of the game. Now about Summer Primiera. She gives some inheritance options to Platinum Primiera that's not that good, We have Dumper Wave, that's a column attack, 6 BP, Slash and Cold. Being Slash and Cold is good, but she cannot use this 3 times in a row. But at least she works for stages with 2 waves only. And the third attack is just a better nuke than Sky Drive. But in my opinion, she should stick to Double Nagi, that is a double attack. Yes. Okay, so... Primiera doesn't have good status, she has only 91% for STR, and everything else about her is just average. She doesn't have agility, she doesn't have endurance, she doesn't have anything. Hard to justify using her with so many slash attackers. Time for Volcano, and Volcano, like I said, is better than Primiera for inheritance, because he has 2 good inheritances. The first one is Firefox. This one is an attack that lowers the will of a target. Many people don't care much about will debuffs because it's not always useful. Will debuff allows you to inflict status ailments or increase your magical damage, but it's always better to buff yourself to increase your damage. So we are now thinking about will more to inflict status ailments or to debuff. Sometimes your enemy has such a high will that when you try to debuff, you will fail because it uses your intelligence against the enemy's will. So it's situational right now because we don't have many bosses that will ignore your debuffs unless you are using characters with low intelligence like Battle of Bucket Hill Gustav. He tries to debuff 2 times, but his intelligence is just so low that debuffing the will of your target may help. Debuffing will is also useful for situations where you want to instant kill an enemy. Bosses won't be on that list. But if you want some challenge and the enemy is, well, susceptible to instant kill, it may help. We have other characters that can debuff, we will be discussing them as well. But this is good because it's spammable. You see, it's 3 BP and even gets to 2 BP if you fully awaken this. Volcano is an interesting meta character because he's free and his best style is one that you can farm and get to level 50. I already got mine, I don't know if you got, but this one here is useful not only to instant kill scenarios, but also because he stays relevant. He can upgrade almost all of his attacks. Let's discuss then. He starts with Firestorm. This attack here, Firestorm, is upgradable already, gets stronger. Then he gets Crimson Flare upgraded as well. It only increases the damage but does not decrease the cost. It's still 11. I don't know why it doesn't increase so much. And he can upgrade Flame Whip in the future, that gives paralyzed chance with high damage, 28. He can upgrade Fireball, that is an AoE attack. And Fireball, it's very nice because it's 3 BP only, you can use it every time. And that's it. Well, a lot of things that he can upgrade, and you will always be training him since he is the best buddy to Albert. When you want Albert to instant kill better, you use Volcano, you use Stun Yundin, or the newest version of Rock Bouquet that increases intelligence. So if you like to use Albert, you probably train him a lot. So why not have something interesting with him? With these inheritance options, he becomes a healer as well. This one here gives him a healing that increases heat resistance as well. Yes, as you can see, for 2 turns he decreases the damage from heat. Yes, and reduce magical damage. This is interesting because it also scales with his weapon and not with heat. But you have to use a fire staff anyway. From Mystic Girl from SaGa Legends banner. So in my opinion it's interesting, and I want to explain something about Firefox. On the top we have the ones that also do very high damage and they also have a very high cost. And the bottom we have those that have a lower cost. We don't have Mirza here. He has a 5 VP AoE slash attack that can also debuff Will. It's pretty good, but it's not that spammable like Firehat. It's called Firefox here, but it's Firehat in global. Strife can do that. And the new Volcano as well. In the very far future, we also have Evelyn being able to use this, and she does it for every single enemy. It's a way better attack. We also have this one with Brownie. It's also pretty far. She doesn't have the highest intelligence. She's not a mage. It's better to use this with mages. So these 3 are also the best ones. But in boss fights where you only have one boss, using those 2 together will allow you to break through some resistances. You can also bring holy stones that decrease the resistance, like decrease paralyze resistance, and when you try to inflict paralyze, you may land, allowing you to cheese some boss fights. You can keep just debuffing Will, paralyzing, using one damage dealer to slowly kill this specific boss, but only bosses that have, well, 300 resistance, 125, 107, but not those that have 999. Those are not something that we can do. But in some stages we have enemies that are resistance, but they are not immune. They may have 300 resistance. So, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, it's debatable. Alan is the best thing on this banner, and Vampire Lady is easily skippable. She is niche, she does have some usage here and there, she's not the best AoE attacker, she's not the best single target damage dealer, she's far from it, she needs another style to perform a full cycle of AoE attacks. She may help here and there, but she's not the best character to bring in boss fights anyway. And Volcano and Primiera are here only for inheritance, and they are not useful by themselves. So is it worth summoning just for Alan? In my opinion, I don't think so. I will probably skip this banner after I get Volcano. I want to get that skill just for science purposes. And I can see Alan being power creeped in some time, even though she's strong right now. Even if you already have Abyss Alan and you have all Alans, it may be interesting to bring even more options. Like I just said, you can bring some of her attacks to Abyss Alan so that she gets a better opener attack, deals more damage, can be very useful in Final Island, where Vampire Lady will not be that strong. So it's up to you. If you think that you are lacking in slash damage, blunt, it's hardly needed right now since we got so many blunt banners. But if you're still missing, she covers both. It's an interesting option for boss fights, and we don't need many boss attackers. Like, right now we usually use 2 supports or 3 supports and only 2 damage dealers. The good thing about Ellen is that she covers for 2 elements, and you can use her for this, where you can just bring other character like the current Final Impress from the first banner that she just keeps healing herself all the time. She may not be that strong, she may need more runs, but she's also a slash, you know? Sometimes you have to just choose your strategy. You will not need to have everything in your squad, so decide upon that. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, please click the links here on the description. We see each other on the next one. Bye.